Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing the Grand Seiko Spring Drive Automatic from the Heritage Collection. This is the SBGA375, 40 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. The watch measures 12.8 millimeters thick, 46.2 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, and we include the end links of the bracelet. It spans 49.7 millimeters laterally across the wrist with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll zoom out now. Throw the watch on my wrist, 16 centimeters circumference, and you can see it wears quite nicely. Fairly thin. It has a sheer side, especially the bezel, but it will fit underneath the cuff. As you can see, it's nice and narrow. Although broad with the end links across the wrist, the actual case is quite short. So on a strap, you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. On the bracelet, I would recommend a wrist of at least 14 centimeters circumference. And again, it is quite thin. There's your over-the-top shot. This is a watch that has a stainless steel bracelet featuring a combination of polished outer faces, a little rolled polished bevel on the side, satin finished outer links, staggered intermediates with polished intermediates. And you can see I've got my fingerprints all over this watch, but it shines up nicely, no issues there. The finish is impeccable. The watch is in great shape. Physically, it's quite a strong bracelet with removable links fixed in place by screws and half links. As you can see, for precise sizing, we have a single fold clasp with twin trigger release. Press both to open the clasp. Rolling over to the case, you can see that this is the 44GS case, a case shape dating back to 1967. It's one of the heritage designs in the Grand Seiko collection, hence the heritage collection for this watch. This is a very distinctive polyhedron form, especially with the compound faceting of the lug profiles that might be the most distinctive case Grand Seiko makes. Now you can see that there's a combination of satin and polish, and all of the polish is optically smooth mirrored finish known as Zaratsu polish, a tin plate polishing method that takes 3 years to master. It's taught at Grand Seiko and practiced at Grand Seiko using European-made Zalitz machines, and the foremost practitioner of this technique now are the people at Seiko and Grand Seiko. And the watch, of course, is finished in what would be known as poly noir or black polish in Switzerland, but whereas the Swiss would put it on small parts inside a movement, Grand Seiko finishes the entire case that way. Now the watch features a screw-down crown, 100 meters of water resistance. It's a dressy watch, but it does have some sports watch qualities. As you can see, the bezel is alternately vertical with a slight outward cant and then conical on the top, giving way to a dial, which is midnight blue, as Grand Seiko describes it. So midnight blue, glossy, metallic, with applique indices, applique frame for the aperture style date, and then we have a GS logo. The hands at center are satinated on their top and knife-edged on their flanks with polished outer faces. All of this is done on diamond-tipped milling tools by artisans who just create this dial furniture all day long. The printing on the dial is a nice subtle contrast, silver on blue, and then we have a little cutout for the power reserve indicator. Note the completely smooth sweep of the seconds hand. The spring drive system uses a completely smooth sweeping hand that's attached to a unidirectional governing wheel. The governing wheel is driven by the spring, the mainspring. There are no batteries, no motors, no capacitors in this watch, but the spring potential energy becomes kinetic energy, which generates electrical current, which activates a quartz oscillator, which will slow or speed up the governing wheel using magnets, and that will slow or speed up the timekeeping. The watch is accurate to plus or minus 15 seconds per month, automatic winding with 30 joules. It has a 3-day power reserve, and it has both a hacking seconds function and a quick set date, so you can rapidly cycle the date should the watch run down. The movement is watchmaker built, watchmaker tuned, and when the time comes, watchmaker serviced. It is a lifetime movement for a lifetime watch. So you've got a hand-finished dial with each individual part handmade, a hand-finished case, which is like a metal jewel twinkling on your wrist. You've got substantial water resistance and impressive technology inside, and a very distinctive case design. This is that heritage design that's been going strong since 1967. So while not every Grand Seiko case has iconic form, this one truly does. Mechanical icon, aesthetic icon, a universally wearable size. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.